in today's session of Divorce Court. Edith Morales says after 18 years of marriage, her husband John still denies cheating.
Most of the time I was with her.
Now wait a
Your
minute,
Honor.
Ms. Morales. Your story is getting weak.
Until Edith got proof from the other woman.
He has a mole on the part of his body,
That only you should know about.
and she confirmed it.
But John says Edith was the one cheating, and he has proof.
One day I snoop on and I find pictures, a whole bunch of pictures of a
what?
half-naked man. And when I confronted her, what did she say? Oh, we took those pictures to get you mad.
Now, who is to blame for their divorce in today's session of Divorce Court?
All rise. Court is now in session. Judge Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
This is the matter of Edith Morales versus John Morales. And Mrs. Morales, I'm advised that after 16 years of marriage that you're filing for divorce and you want spousal support. Is that right?
Correct.
Want to tell me about it?
I'm here because he cheated on me with another woman, so I kicked him out. He left me with a pile of bills. I feel like I'm on a roller coaster. I want to get off. I'm here for spousal support.
So what happened during the cheating? How did you find out about cheating?
It was brought to my attention that he was cheating on me. And other hints throughout, when he comes home, whenever he wanted to come home, he'd do whatever he wanted to do. And basically, I didn't question it because, again, I trusted him. I had faith in him. 16 years is not something that you just toss away very simply.
So who brought this to your attention?
The other woman.
How did she bring it to your attention?
She brought it directly to my home. And
What do you
she
mean by
informed me
that?
of the She informed me of the situation that occurred. Her guilt couldn't take it anymore.
She called you, came to your house, what?
She informed her husband.
She was married too?
She was married with children. She informed her husband, told him what occurred. It occurred for a couple of months, and that her guilt. So it was brought to his attention and to my attention. And that's where I couldn't take it anymore.
So when your husband's girlfriend came to your house
Not her personally. The husband came to my house.
and he told you,
He told him, and he advised me of the situation. And then I wanted to confront him and her.
and what happened? Did you?
He refused. I did it on my own.
So your husband would never sit down and talk with you and her?
No.
So you went to the woman?
I went to the woman and I confided in her and I spoke to her. And there was only one question that
Well, you didn't confide in her.
Well,
You mean you asked her?
I asked her. There was only one specific question. He has a mole on a part of his body.
That only you should know about.
And I should only be the only one knowing. And she confirmed it.
So then when you went back to your husband, did he deny it still?
Still denies it to this day.
And you're probably about to deny it now.
Yes, I am.
So why would that man's husband come
you
to
know-
her house and tell your wife that?
Your Honor, everything she said is a lie. Everything is a lie.
Even the fact that you have a mole that only she knows about?
Well, that part is a lie too because I confronted to her. I told her.
So everybody knows about your mole.
I told her. I guess so. What happened was we all sat down and everything came out clear. The girl said that she made that false accusation because I was hanging out with her husband too much. So every time I came out of work, we was always hanging out. We always worked on cars. We worked on boats and everything.
So
and
her
she
husband
didn't
was
like
your
that.
friend.
Yes, and she didn't like that. So in order to break up my relationship with him, she threw that in, and it worked.
How can someone fabricate a
minute,
story
now-
like that?
A friend
Well,
of yours,
The whole truth came out. She was invited. She never came to that date.
she was invited to dinner
She
that
was
day?
invited. It wasn't a dinner thing. It was just a thing to throw everything out in the open because after a while she said
I was
that
never
why she
invited.
did-
I
yes,
was
you
never
were.
informed.
Who was called to this meeting to
For
throw
this
everything
forum.
out in the open?
It was me. It was her, the other
other
girl,
woman.
the guy friend of mine, and two friends of ours. We was all there.
Why are all these other people involved?
Because it was him, it was her, because it ruined my, to this day, we still talk, the guy.
Your friend.
Right? Because we've known each other basically all our lives. And what happened was, from one day to another, she did this accusation. Why? Because she felt like the reason why she said she did what she did was because she was always home. Every time he came from work, we always hung out, so she was left alone with her two kids.
But why
So
would
which
somebody
means that
jeopardize
your
a
wife was
marriage?
left alone too, right?
Well, most of the time I was with her.
Now wait a
Your
minute,
Honor,
Mr. Morales.
Your Honor, I was
Just
always
wait
working.
up, Mr. Morales. Your story is getting weak.
I was
Hold
always
on a
working
second.
on cars.
It's falling apart. You were always with the other woman's husband, you
Right.
said.
Right.
And she got tired of the two of you being together all the time and her being at home alone. That's why she made up this story. So if you're always with her husband and she's at home alone, doesn't it mean that your wife is at home alone too?
Well, yes, she was.
All right.
Now it comes
but
to the
now
other
you're gonna
part.
tell me
Home
that you
alone
was
with the
always with your
children,
wife.
not with the
Now it comes with the other
responsibilities.
part. Now the other part. Now I was being blamed for committing adultery in our marriage, and one day I snoop on and I find pictures. Not one, not two pictures, a whole bunch of pictures
Of
of a
what?
half-naked man. And when I confronted her, she was like, "Oh, I took the picture."
You
just
mean
to
like
get you mad."
Polaroid type pictures of half-naked men?
Pictures, 35 millimeter, the whole 36 chibam.
Not cut out of a magazine pictures.
No, it were pictures. And when I confronted her, what did she say? "Oh, we took those pictures to get you mad."
Where were
Now-
those pictures taken?
Those pictures were taken like a little after the accusations
Where
that
did
I
you
was.
find them?
I found the film and I developed it myself. I had
You
suspicions.
found the film at your house.
I found the film in my house. We were still living together, because after his accusations that I was having an affair, we still stood together. We tried
we
to make
stayed
it work.
together.
So
We
you
tried
found
to make
you
it
found
work.
We
the
tried
film
to make
at
it
your
work.
house. You developed them, and
Right.
it was films of naked men.
Of a naked man,
A
different
naked
poses.
man or men.
Oh, man, different poses.
Okay, specify
So
exactly
one
he
man.
wasn't naked.
One man.
So maybe she's an artist and she was taking pictures.
Well, if I was an artist, I mean,
Or you're a photographer and he was posing in the nude.
No,
Not in
he
these
wasn't in
pictures.
the nude. He had clothing on.
How was he
just
dressed?
didn't have a
Underwears.
shirt on.
Underwears
and this
with-
was after I got rid of him.
no.
What do you
It
mean
was-
after you got rid of him? You're still together.
Well, in a sense, where I kicked him out the
Your
house.
Honor,
So it was after he had moved out.
Yeah, after he had moved out,
Your
he
Honor,
still
I
had
did not
access.
move. I did not
he still
leave.
had access to come into the house because of my children. We have 3 children
Our
together.
children.
Our children. We still have 3 children that bond us together no matter what till we're dead.
Right.
So he had access to come into the house. I mean, I have to
But
trust
you
him
had
to a
another
point.
man coming into the
No,
house?
no, no
Your
man
Honor,
was
there
coming
were
into my
guys
house.
caught in
I
the
went away
house.
I went away, okay, in a gathering, and we were all snapping pictures. And I happened to have
pictures, Your
I
Honor. Your
happened to have the
underwears.
film that was in
But
my
you're
purse.
saying this was after you had declared that your
Yes.
relationship with
It
your
was
husband
over.
was over.
No, Your Honor.
Over.
No,
You don't know
because
anything about this meeting?
No, I was never informed about a meeting. I didn't know they had a forum and that had to discuss something between him and I.
Have you ever been told by him prior to today that the other woman made these allegations to break up the relationship between him and his friend? Have you
I
ever
was
been told
informed.
that?
He told me
Your
that
Honor?
this is what he mixed up. But again, you have to judge both things. Why would a woman jeopardize her home, her marriage, her children, their mental state, just because
Are they still together?
they're still
Your Honor,
together?
my
She and her
wife-
husband are still together.
They're still
There's
together.
your answer right there.
They're still
Your
together.
Honor.
It's far-fetched. And far be it from me to try to explain human behavior. Because if I could, we wouldn't have this court. And if I could, everybody would be doing what they're supposed to do, or at least what I think they're supposed to do. So I don't have the answers.
Your Honor?
Hold on, don't you hear me talk?
Okay, I'm sorry.
When divorce court continues, the judge tries to find out why Edith still talks to the woman she is accusing her husband of having an affair with.
I find that strange, that you can forgive her for the sake of your children and can't forgive the children's father for the sake of your children. That's strange to me.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Edith versus John Morales, who says he found semi-nude photos of another man, which his wife took.
But even though it's far-fetched, I have heard of instances, I have represented people in instances where those kinds of stories have been made up to break up a marriage. As a matter of fact, or to break up a relationship. As a matter of fact, it happened to me. I had a friend whose husband lied on me because he didn't like us being friends. He didn't want us to hang out with each other. He said we were too close, and he was afraid that I would tell her some of his stuff. So if he broke us up, I couldn't tell her.
It's just that at times when everything came out to surface, then I started thinking back. Too many things occurred and too many things were put
Like
together.
what?
Like, for example, he was always at this person's home.
Okay.
He would stay over at this person's home. Every
That
time
was his
we
best friend, he said.
Yes, but you know what? Why would he stay home at a person's friend's house when the husband's supposed to be working and she's
Oh, so when the husband was gone.
yeah, because at
Your
that
Honor?
time the husband wasn't there, but yet he always made it his business to be there, confined, because that's what he was always saying. Oh, I had someone to talk to, so I always run to her. So you can't concern yourself.
So when you
in
added all of that
talking
together, you
and
said.
put 2 and 2 together.
So how often would he stay? So This best friend, you're saying your husband violated the trust between him and his best friend, not only the
Absolutely.
trust between you and him, but he
Absolutely.
would go to the man's house and stay with his wife?
Absolutely. When he had no business being there because supposedly it's supposed to be for his best friend, not for her.
So why couldn't the best friend's wife, when he was out of town, come over to you all's house and stay?
Your Honor, my wife and that girl now are best of friends. They hang out, they drink together almost every day.
That will be impossible because I am employed and I work, and
Honor.
it's impossible for
Well,
me
you
to hang
know, when
out
we say
somewhere
every day, we just
every
kind of
day.
exaggerate.
Almost
He
every day.
means
Okay.
almost.
You know, it
They-
came to the point where I can't be selfish. I have children.
So, but now
and-
you trust this woman?
No,
They
no,
hang
no,
out,
no.
they
Wait, let me
buddies,
finish
Your
my
Honor.
point. Let
They
me finish my
buddies, Your
point, and
Honor.
then you can understand. First of all, it came to the point where my children, they grew up together with this particular individual. And it isn't fair. I'm not being selfish for myself, and I'm not being selfish for my children. I do speak to this person. Because there
But
are
are
times...
you friends and hang out
No.
together
Yes,
and
Your
buddies?
Honor. Yes, they
No,
hang
we
out,
do
they
not.
drink, they have
No, we
parties
do
in the
not.
backyard,
When I
swimming
do
pools
go
and
to the
everything.
house, excuse me, I went to the backyard because it was my daughter's birthday. Where were you? Well, you didn't even take that into
So
consideration.
wait a minute. What you're trying to say is, here's you allege that the woman came to you and said, I made up this preposterous story just so I could stop you and my husband from hanging
Yes,
out together.
that's what
And
happened.
now Mrs. Morales, you're saying that Mrs. Morales hangs out with this woman. And Ms. Morales, you say the woman, no, her husband came and told you about she and her,
Told us.
I told her.
and now you're her friend.
No, I'm not her
Yes,
friend.
they
I
are.
never said
Yes, they
I
are,
was her
Your Honor.
friend. He's the one that's
Yes.
claiming that I'm the friend. It took almost
Okay,
about
what do you call
2.5
it? How often do
years.
you see this woman?
Associate.
You're her associate.
An associate
So
because my
this is a
children
person you
interact
trust.
together.
Now you can trust her?
Okay, I don't trust her.
But your
in
children
my
grew up with your
personal-
husband,
I don't
too.
trust her
Your
in my
Honor.
personal sense, but I do
An
trust her with my
associate.
children.
But your children grew up with your husband. So you're saying that I
They
can
grew up all
trust
together.
I can trust a woman who deceived me and who was supposed to be my friend, who ended up having a relationship with my husband.
Correct.
I can trust her, even though she lied, deceived me, broke my trust and confidence, but I can't trust the man who's the father of my children because of his lie, and I can't forgive him, and I can't stay with him, and we've been together 16 years. How do you reconcile that? This man has more at stake with you and your children than the woman. Why you can forgive her and
The
can't
only
forgive
stake that he
him?
may have is within a relationship of the marriage itself.
But
the
why you can
sanctity
forgive
of
her
it.
and can't
But he
forgive
doesn't
him?
interact with his children, even when we were together. He was always
You
in
haven't
the
answered
street.
my question. Why can you forgive her and can't
For my
forgive your
children.
husband?
For my children.
But he's their father.
He don't do nothing for
I
them.
don't see them. You know why, Your Honor? Because there was an
Now,
order.
now you talk about strange behavior.
Your Honor.
Wait a minute. And you're asked the question about the other woman's behavior? I find that strange. That you can forgive her for the sake of your children and can't forgive the children's father for the sake of your children. That's strange to me. And it doesn't go together. There's something
Well,
missing
it's
there.
It's come to the
Your
point,
Honor.
like I said before, it went on for a couple of years where we didn't speak, we didn't interact. Okay, I seen the
Because there
toll
was
and the
an order
strange.
of protection
I
against
seen
her
the
and my
toll.
kids for a whole year. I could
No,
not
that
see
was
them for a
prior
whole
to that because
year.
of you were menacing and harassing
No,
me.
for a whole year,
You
my
would
kids, I
call
could
my
not see
All
them.
right,
job.
I don't want you guys to just mumble to each other.
When divorce court continues, John tells the judge that Edith wastes the money he gives her on sexy clothes.
Did your kids have clothes?
Well, half of the time you see my kids and their clothes are all wrinkled like they wore 2 weeks ago.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Edith versus John Morales, who denies having an affair with his best friend's wife.
So what about the bills and things she's talking about?
Bills and responsibilities are in
Bills.
my home.
I used to give her money for the kids. And what I used to see was she used to buy sexy outfits like the one she's wearing right now. Probably I paid for that and I
I
don't
have a
even know.
job. I have a job.
And then she comes and
So you
tells me,
gave her money, she bought sexy outfits.
well,
have proof?
because when
Did
I
your
used
kids
to,
have clothes?
well, I used to give her the money
You
for
didn't
the
answer
kids.
my question. Did your kids have clothes?
They have clothes, yes,
Are
they
you
do.
telling me that she bought for herself and didn't buy for her kids?
Well,
or that she bought for the kids and herself?
Half of the time you see my kids and their clothes are all wrinkled like they wore 2 weeks ago.
my
so they
children
can
wear
go-
name brand clothing.
Now they do.
My
Oh, you
children-
know
Now
what?
they
You
do.
don't- wait a minute. Don't, you know, people.
Your Honor.
Hold on a second. People stand up before me and think when they throw that word out, my children wear name brand clothing,
Okay, my
that
children
I'm to be
dress very
impressed.
nice.
I think it's the worst thing in the world. When you living on a shoestring budget and you're buying name brand
Exactly.
clothing for your kids.
Well,
So
sometimes
that
it's
doesn't
necessary.
impress me.
Well, I have one child which is quite big. He's almost 6'4", 235 pounds. I can't stick him in the clothes where he
Well, I'm
doesn't
just
fit.
saying you buy him clothing that
I
are good
take
clothing,
care-
but
I
I don't
take care
care
of
whose
good-
name is on it. You're
Okay,
doing
this
it
is
I
what
buy
I
him
don't
good
understand.
clothing, good quality stuff that they may need.
Your Honor,
at
this is
any
what I
point
don't
in
understand.
time.
So
I
what
give him
isn't
for
he-
lunch.
what bills
I
is
give him for school supply. I mean, he even has the audacity for this year of
Okay,
2000.
but wait just a minute. My court papers say that there is already a child support order. So why are we discussing what you buy for your kids?
Thank you.
Why is that a discussion?
I'm here for spousal support.
Okay, now tell
To
me what's
assist
going
me
on
for
with
the
you
bills.
since he's saying
because
that.
of the child support he doesn't pay.
No, you have a child support order.
Yes.
Okay, I'm not making another one.
Okay.
Now, what are you talking about in terms of spousal support?
Spousal support and assisting me to pay the bills.
She's
All
working.
the bills.
Pay what bills?
I have this rent, there is phone, there is food, there is clothing, there is car fare, there is lunch for the
And
children.
you're working?
Yes, I am.
Okay, now you keep adding up stuff for the children. That's what child support is. Child support is given to you as the custodial parent. 3 kids, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Child support is given to you to assist you in providing and paying for rent and food and
Only if he
clothing.
pays.
Excuse me?
Only if he pays.
But you know what, Mrs. Morales, by that same analysis, see, your analysis gets a little confused. If he's not paying the child support and it's only if he pays, you get another order for support? For spousal support? Is that because it's under a different category, you think he'll pay the money?
No.
So then what's the significance? What's the difference? What's the difference? You say only if he pays. Well, this is only going to help you only if he pays.
True.
So you got another order for the same thing only if he pays.
True.
Now you understand what I'm saying? Now tell me about yourself. What are your personal needs? That's what spousal support is, your needs, not the children's.
She wants me to buy her sexual
Hold on a
clothes.
second, your needs, not the children's. And you don't have the ability to meet your needs. You say you're working.
My rent.
That's
One-
child support.
Okay.
Were there bills left when you separated?
Yes,
No, there
credit
wasn't.
cards.
No, there wasn't.
Credit cards, because I'm still legally binded.
We-
with him.
we did
We're
not
still-
own credit cards.
I'm responsible for
Did
his
you have any credit cards?
Yes, I have.
Under my name, Your Honor.
I
They were
have-
all
And where
under-
are they now?
They're
All
no
under your
longer
name?
there. No longer. I don't have money.
Were the
I
credit
don't have
cards
credit
all
cards.
under his name?
Yes,
they
they
were
were.
under both our names.
No, they weren't, Your Honor.
Who's
Okay.
the primary card holder?
He was.
All right, so the primary card holder is going to be responsible.
No.
Yes.
I receive a bill. I
Your
receive
Honor,
a bill
I-
every month that I'm still being responsible for.
When divorce court continues, the judge shares her thoughts on the case after the verdict. Divorce court continues in the case of Edith versus John Morales, who says he never cheated with his best friend's wife.
The only thing I can order is that he has to pay half the credit card debts that were incurred during the
That's
marriage.
under my name because there ain't
I don't
none.
care if they weren't under your name. If they were incurred during the marriage,
Okay.
you're
and
equally
rent.
responsible. Not rent, Mrs. Morales. You didn't hear me say that.
Okay. Con
That is
Edison,
not the order.
Telephone,
And that is not the order.
food.
That is not the order.
Your Honor.
I said credit card obligations. Those are daily living expenses, rent, light, gas, water. That's daily living expenses. That's what child support covers and your income. All right?
Your Honor, she's taking
No,
this.
I'm finished.
Okay.
If you only have any credit card debts incurred during the marriage, the 16 years you were married, if there were any debts in terms of bills as of the date you separated,
Tuition.
you're
Well,
talking
it was-
tuition for children.
No. When I went to college.
That's your problem.
Oh, okay.
Tuition is on your own.
But he was paying for it too.
But he doesn't have to pay it any longer. You're not married to him. All right? I've already told you what he has to pay. I'm real clear on what I'm saying. I'm not confused at all. I know it may not sound good, but I'm not confused on what I'm saying. All right? Your request for spousal support is denied. Credit card obligations, outstanding debts other than daily living expenses, and your educational expenses are to be paid equally. That's the order of the court.
Thank you.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
She's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm still puzzled at the statement, I'm with the other girlfriend for the sake of my children,
Because
but
their
I can't
kids
deal with
grew
my
up together.
husband. The father of my children for the sake of my children.
That was kind of an interesting.
Maybe it's because
outlook.
the girlfriend is the babysitter, but the father can take care of the children as well. I don't understand it.
I think she was trying to say, I'm not going to displace my children from their lifelong friends because her and I have a problem. But that's
Was you
kind
displace them from their daddy?
In today's session of Divorce Court, Roberta Briggs McLish says her husband Rodney is dangerous.
Rodney struck me with an uppercut in my nose
You mean with his fist?
with his fist, ma'am.
But he says she pushed him too far.
I lift up the pillow and what do I find? An open condom pack.
Now she says she's fallen for his apologies one too many times.
He told me, oh, I'm a better man, I done changed.
You
blah,
think that now he won't get mad at you and bust your nose again?
Today, Roberta Briggs McLish is finally standing up to Rodney McLish in this session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Judge Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Rodney McLish versus Roberta Briggs McLish. I understand you've been married for 8 years. You have no children, and you want some money for moving expenses. What are you talking about, Mrs.
Ma'am,
McLish?
I want to put closure to this. What happened was, in 96 of August, I had to be forced to move and leave state due to the fact that Rodney physically attacked me in my sleep.
Your Honor,
What do
I
you
wish.
mean? What happened in your
I
sleep?
wish to say that
You
that
wish
is,
to keep your mouth closed at the moment.
Yes, ma'am. But on the other turn,
You
I
wish
would
to
like.
keep your
was-
mouth closed at the moment. She's talking, and I will give you your turn.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, what happened was, we had altercation, and I'm not an arguing person, so I walked away and went in the room, and Rodney followed behind me. As I laid down to shut my eyes, Rodney struck me with an uppercut in my nose
You mean with his fist?
with his fist, ma'am. So I was forced. I went to the hospital that night. The police came up to
Hit
the
you
hospital.
so bad you had to be hospitalized?
I went to the hospital that night. They did x-rays. They did a lot of things to my nose.
Was it broken?
No, ma'am. It was fractured in 2 places, and they told me that if
fracture
he
is
would have
just as
hit
bad.
me, if he would have hit me any harder, he would have broke the bones in my nose, and they would have shattered in my brain and killed me.
And you left.
I had no choice, ma'am. I was in fear for my children and myself. After the police came to the hospital, I took the police report, and he told me, he said, what's going to happen is we're going to look for Rodney. When we find him, we'll call you back and let you know. I was there with a family member to the hospital, so as we were leaving the hospital after my visit and everything, and they seen me, we left, and when we left, the police had stopped us on my way back, to a family member house. They got behind us and they stopped us. They said that we have Rodney McLish in custody. You are free to go home. I was so terrified I didn't want to go home.
I can't blame you.
So what I did was I waited
And
a
I hope
couple
you
of days.
don't, wait a minute. I hope you don't think this is funny.
No, I don't think it's funny. It's just
Okay.
that I'm ready to speak as
Okay,
well.
now you can get ready to speak. But while she's saying that, you need to get that smirk off your face.
There is no smirk on my face. This
Well,
is a
I
very
see-
serious situation.
I
here,
see
and
I see a smirk.
No, ma'am.
All right.
That's not no smirk.
Okay, well, please, because it is serious.
It's very serious.
So what happened?
I waited a couple of days. I stayed with a family member. I went back to my apartment. I gathered up much as I could, and I left, and fled the state.
And now you've been gone ever since.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, Mr. McGlish, tell me your side. I know there's 2 sides to it,
There's
and I
2
can
sides
almost
to
tell
every-
you yours, but I'm going to let
What
you
is
tell
mine?
me. I'm going to let you tell me.
Well, anyway, to every relationship or marriage has its ups and downs. But the real reason why this marriage went down the tubes is because of the cheating, the lying, the deceitfulness. And that is why it went down.
Cheating, lying, is that what you said?
Deceitfulness, yes.
Deceit.
Yes.
That's what caused the breakup of the marriage.
Yes.
Okay, talk to me about the cheating.
Well, the cheating, it all began. I'm not going to sit up here and put it all on her. But, yeah, the life that I was living at that moment, I was out there, doing my thing, cheating and all that. So the blame isn't totally on her. It's on me, too. It's on
So
both
both
of us.
of you were being
Yes, we was being promiscuous.
unfaithful.
Yes. And the life that I was
promiscuous.
living.
Children are promiscuous.
Well, okay. Well, children may be promiscuous. I misworded that. But yes, I was out there doing bad things against my marriage. Okay, I regret that because this is why it's all happening.
And as a
But-
result of your doing it, your wife engaged in the same? Is that what you're saying? You were
Yes.
both unfaithful?
Yes.
All right, then what happened?
Yes. And after that, you know what I'm saying?
What about the lying?
The lying came from both ends.
You were both lying and covering up your wrongs?
Exactly.
So if you were both doing it, then why did you have to get a divorce if that's what
Why?
broke it
It's
down?
because I loved her. I loved her. And I came back a few times to reconcile our situation in our marriage because that's the way I was raised.
And the point is that what happened? You caught her cheating, or you decided you couldn't put up with hers any longer and you were going to make her obey?
No, it isn't.
Or you were going to put a stop to it?
It's not a point to make her obey or put up with it. All I wanted to do was reconcile the situation. Now, yes, I came in, I didn't actually see her in the act, and she never actually seen me in the act, but she caught me once, I caught her once.
And so once
Okay?
you caught her, you were through with it?
Yeah, I was through.
So you
Basically.
couldn't take catching your wife and her being with another man. That was too much for your ego, huh?
Most men can't.
And so how did this altercation take place?
What altercation?
She said there was an altercation.
There were several altercations.
As far as
And the
what,
one
be
that
more
ended up
specific.
with her nose.
With her nose, it was all in the matter of, we had an altercation, like she said.
What's
we
an
had
altercation?
we had a heated argument.
All right.
In front of the kids.
We had a heated argument, and it got out of hand.
You have children?
I have two, and he have two.
And they
what
were living
happened
with
was,
both of you?
No,
Yes,
no,
ma'am.
it's on me
Hold on
to
a
talk.
second. Wait just a minute.
Why can't I
asked
talk?
one question. How many children do you have?
I have two, and he have two.
And all the children were there?
They were there, and I
Okay.
was preparing
Now go back
dinner.
to him.
Okay, now, as far as it was a heated altercation, we both was upset. You understand me?
This is
And
just verbal argument at
This
this
is
point.
verbal argument, and it got heated.
What
It
does
got-
that mean?
We yelling and screaming and arguing, and everything. That's how it got heated. But the fact that we are here now is because of the cheating.
No. I'm
The
not
cheating.
asking. Well, you trying to tell me why you're here now because of the cheating. That's your perspective. Your
Okay.
wife said that you got into a heated argument, which she called an altercation. It was just verbal
It was
initially.
verbal at that time.
And then she you don't have to repeat it. She went, laid down, shut her eyes, and the next thing you know, you hit her.
That's her story.
But I'm asking you to tell me yours.
It got heated. After it got heated, and then the kids came in the room, I left because I knew the next situation was going to come about.
So you
That's
never
not
hit
true.
her.
That I left.
That's not true.
So
Your
I
Honor.
you
left.
never hit her.
I left.
That's
No,
not
I
Answer
didn't.
my question. Yes or no?
That's not
No,
true.
I didn't.
And
That
you
is
don't know
not
anything
true.
about her going to the hospital
No,
with a nose
I
problem.
don't know
That's not-
nothing
You don't know
about
anything
that.
about a
Nothing.
fractured nose.
Nothing.
And she
I
didn't
know
leave.
nothing.
Be quiet. And she didn't leave you after that.
Huh? She left. Yes, she did. Because I came
And
back
she
to the
never
house.
came back.
I came back to the house at 3 in the morning.
You never got arrested.
When I came back to the house at 3 in the morning, the police came and kicked the door in, saying that I did. So first they asked me, did I know a Roberta McClish? I said, yeah, that's my wife. The next thing you know, I started getting a bunch of boots, a bunch of billy clubs and guns put in my face, and taken off to jail. Then when I was taken off to jail, I was released, dismissed, insufficient evidence. I
Dismissed
said,
because your wife was in another state at that
No.
time.
That's
wasn't
not true, ma'am. What had happened was he did hit me. I would not take my kids 3,000 miles out of school, away from
reason
their
why, 'cause
friends,
her family
away
was
from their
there.
family.
Her sister moved down
Just
there.
hold on a second. You're saying, so you never hit her. The police arrested you for that. You went to court and the charges were dismissed.
Dismissed.
When divorce court continues, Rodney testifies that he caught Roberta red-handed.
I lift up the pillow and what do I find? An open condom pack.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Roberta Briggs McClish as she testifies that Rodney hit her in the nose while she was sleeping.
So you just made all this up.
Ma'am, I would not make up nothing about my nose. I mean, this man hit me in my nose while I was laying there with my eyes shut. I got up, I called one of my family members to come
Well, you
get
told
me
me
and
that,
my
but he's
children.
saying it didn't happen.
And I called his family member to come get his two children. And as I was leaving out my driveway to go to the hospital, that's when the sheriff rolled up, kicked my door in, and he and I was not there. On my way to the hospital, when we got there, me and my family member, the police was called into the hospital room. I made a statement. 2 or 3 days later, I went to court. I testified
And what
on
happened
the
in
court.
court?
The judge asked me what happened. I'm telling him the same thing I told you.
And then what happened?
I don't know from there because, ma'am, after the court date, I got on the bus, me and my two
I'm
kids,
free.
in fear for my life
It
and
never
left.
happened.
So
And
now
left.
you
Word
went
of
to court and you
animosity.
testified.
Yes, ma'am.
Was your husband present in court?
I was right
He was right
there.
there. Yes, ma'am.
I was right there. Right there.
So you know she testified.
I was right there.
But you said the case was dismissed.
The case is
Did
dismissed.
you testify as well?
I didn't testify. Why should I testify?
So cases aren't dismissed after testimony. You're either found guilty or not guilty.
Not guilty, Your Honor.
All right, still doesn't mean it didn't occur.
I
It
didn't
was
do
some
it.
time
I
served,
didn't
Your
do
Honor,
it.
behind that.
I didn't serve no time.
It was
That's
some
all
time
right.
served
You know what?
behind that.
I don't know because you don't have any documents before
Right.
me,
That's right.
which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
You walk into court without evidence and without proof. That's unfortunate.
Right.
Rarely does a person admit domestic violence.
I know that's
Rarely.
right.
All right?
And rarely does
And
a woman
usually it's
admit
because
to
the
mental anguish as well. And deceitfulness and lying.
None of that, sweetheart. I'm all here. Every
Why-
screw is
if that
tight.
was going on all the time, Mr. McGlish,
Yeah, both of us
and
was doing it.
so then why would she have to leave
My
in the middle of
cheating-
the night on this particular occasion if you've been lying
guess
to
she
each
was
other
fed up
and
with it.
cheating? But
She
why
was-
you got to just
she-
get up in the middle of the night and leave?
She was fed up with it. And by me knowing her, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to stay there.
I put up
Only
with it.
reason
well,
I
wait, tell
came
me,
back.
hold on a second. You said you were upset
Yeah.
when you found out or when you saw her with another man.
What most men do. Most men
I'm
tend
not
to
talking
hold
about
things
most
a little
men.
bit
I'm
deeper
talking to
than
you.
women.
You were upset, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And as a result of that, what was your reaction?
When I was there, I went to go pick her up from out of town because she had left one time, right? This is before this kind of like happened.
Before
And
what kind of like happened?
Before this whole incident that she's talking about, I did.
What incident?
Okay, as far as this domestic thing she
Before
talking
that
about.
happened?
Yeah.
But it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Oh.
But before she's talking about it, I'm totally aware of what I'm saying. But now I went to go pick her up, okay? She went to a girlfriend's house. I went to go pick her up, and I asked her, I say, well, who is this character right here? Who is
It
this,
was a
who is
house
this
full
guy?
of people. Sure was.
And there was this dude there,
house
and she
full.
say she
Hold
had
on,
been
Miss McGlish.
drinking all night.
No,
you
not
know,
all
she had
night,
been
'cause I'm not
drinking
no
all
alcoholic.
night. Her and her friend, and I happened to, we went in the room and everything, and I'm looking around.
We never went in the room.
I
Mrs.
lift up the
McGlish,
pillow.
be quiet.
I lift up the pillow, and what do I find? An open condom pack. Then partner pulls up, and then he says to
How did
me,
he pull up if he was already there?
No,
there.
no, no.
He
He
was
had
there.
came up. He was walking up the stairs.
He was
You
already
can't
in
tell
the
a story straight.
He was walking. You can say whatever you like, Your Honor. I respect you, but this
excuse
is
me.
what happened.
You said that he was there. You saw the man, and
He
you
was
asked
there.
her
I spoke
who
to him. The
was
man-
the man.
I spoke to this man,
The
and
man
he
was
said
in the
if you would have
apartment the
been
whole
here
time.
and seen what we did that night, then you'll
The
really know
man
what's
ain't
happening.
never said nothing of the
The
such.
man said that to me.
Let me tell you what the man said, Your
The
Honor.
man said that to me.
Stop, Mr. McGlish.
And I asked her.
I asked, Rodney called me and said he was going to come up there, bring me some money, and see how I was doing. I said, okay.
And I did that.
The guy came over that night. We all sitting up, me and my girlfriend, we having drinks or whatever. I goes in the room and go to bed. This is not
Too
my house
intoxicated.
per se.
Too intoxicated.
This is not my house per se. Yes, I had a couple of drinks.
Too
That's
intox- that's
right.
what you told
I
me.
had
You
a
was
couple of drinks.
inebriated.
Oh,
There's
Mr.
nothing
McGlish,
wrong
be
with
quiet.
drinking.
I don't want you two of you arguing
You
with
was
each other.
inebriated.
But anyway, I went, what happened was, we all been drinking, sitting around, chilling out. So I goes in the room to go to sleep. Now, this is not my apartment per se. I'm in somebody else's house. So she told me where I
in
can go
control
sleep
of your
at.
body.
So I went in there and
You
went
in
to
control
sleep.
of what you
I
do.
know I'm
Mr.
in
McGlish, be
control
quiet.
of
Yes,
everything
ma'am.
I do. So I went in there.
exactly. So
Anyway,
you did
I went
it.
in there and went to sleep.
You
As
did
I
it.
was going in there to go to
You
sleep,
hurt my feelings.
the boys,
Is what you did.
all the cheating and stuff you done did on me. You
I
talking
did.
about feelings?
I did. I hurt you. You hurt me. So we
Anyway,
even.
the cheating and the deceiving and all that started on his end. He started cheating on me, so I said, okay, I could
Two
deal
can play the game.
I could,
Two
I
can
could
play
deal
the
with
game.
the cheating. I dealt with the cheating for years, ma'am.
She
I really
did.
did. I put
I
up
give
with
her
it.
that.
I really did. But when it came to the physical abuse, that's when I said,
That
oh
never
no, this
happened.
got to go. And
Never
that's when I
happened.
got my children and I loaded up and I went on the
Never
bus. Oh yes, it
happened.
happened. I
Never
would not
happened.
be here if it didn't
So
happen.
if she put up with the cheating for a number of years and put up with the lying, right, and the deceit that the two of you engaged in, then can you explain to me why suddenly, if she had done that, I understand you've been married for 8 years, right, before you
Right,
separated.
that's true.
If it had happened for 8 years, then why suddenly she just got up and left?
I guess we was tired of it. She was tired of the cheating and the lying.
I have caught
But
this
she
man
was doing-
with females.
One time.
It's called denial.
One
Mr.
time.
Mr. McGlish, it's called denial.
Denial.
And you can stand here and deny. But you, by your own statements, and you didn't hear yourself, you have really admitted.
What
The
did I
point
admit?
is, domestic
admit?
violence is a real
I didn't
violent
admit that.
issue.
I did not admit that.
Why not? You
no,
did
you
it.
didn't admit
I
it
didn't do it.
precisely. It's
I
called
didn't.
circumstantially in your conversation.
Well, I didn't do it. I'm free.
Ma'am.
I'm out. It never happened.
So you
It
and
was
your wife
proven that way.
left, and what do you want from the court?
I want my travel expenses. I had to relocate with my children. When I got there, I had to I left my home and got rid of everything I had. What I did was I took a duffel bag full enough for me and my 2 children. When I got there, I had nothing but clothes. I had to pay expenses for me and my children to get on the bus. I had to spend money for us to eat all the way there. It was 3 days for my trip on the bus, cramped up.
Okay, so
And
now
how much was that?
This goes off into another
$354.
one.
When divorce court continues, the judge gets tough with Roberta, who still took Rodney back after he hit her.
He told me, oh, I'm a better man, I done changed.
You
blah,
think that now he won't get mad at you and bust your nose again?
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Roberta Briggs McLish as she testifies that she's tired of Rodney's lying and cheating.
I'm here today to ask for the $354 for closure so that I can move on with my life. Rodney McLish is doing his thing. He's here today even with a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? I came by
That's
myself.
right. That's
I
right.
traveled along by myself. But you come
Why
to my
you
house
mad?
2 months ago. He said he wanted to make it work. Came down there to visit me where
did I
I
pay
live.
for?
You know what? It doesn't.
What did I
Why are
pay
you?
for?
Wait, excuse me. Why are you still? If you
What did I
left,
pay for?
Excuse me, Mr. McGlish.
Yes,
and this
ma'am.
is the last time.
Yes, ma'am.
Now you keep saying yes, ma'am, but it's just lip service.
No, that's
No,
proper
because you're not
upbringing.
keeping your mouth closed when she's talking.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Now just forget all the mannerisms. Just close your mouth when she's talking.
Yes,
all right?
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. He came down.
If the man hurt you as badly as you say, and I have no reason to disbelieve it, and you left him because of that, packed up your stuff, I'm out of here, I'm gone. Why are you still letting him come to see you now 3 years later?
That's my mistake. I'm sorry I
You
let
think
it
that
happen.
now he won't get mad at you and bust
No.
your nose again?
It's the same, and that's why I let him come to see, because he told me, oh, I'm a better man, I done changed, blah, blah, blah. I said, oh, really? I said, I
How
want
has
to
he
see this
changed
for
if he won't
myself.
even accept and admit that he hurt you?
I know it
A
hasn't
person who
changed.
won't even accept wrong and admit that I've done something wrong, they'll never change.
I know that. I've seen that,
because
ma'am.
They haven't seen the error of their ways and don't believe that they've committed any misdoing.
That's right. I
So
understand
they're not
that.
going to change.
I understand all that. And
But
when
my
he
point
came,
is, in terms of you moving, that was a choice you made to move, right?
yes, ma'am.
And was really not a choice.
It wasn't a choice. It was
was a
in fear.
choice.
I was in
It
fear
was
for
a
my life
choice.
then that I know how
was
he
a
lives.
choice.
McGlish, let me
I know
finish.
how he is. So what I did
It
was
was a-
I left. I was scared for myself and, my children.
Stop. You don't have to convince me. When I say choice, because I use the word choice doesn't mean it was negative. Doesn't mean that I'm suggesting that you should have done something else. Certainly you made a choice. Anytime we do things, we make a choice.
Right.
It's our free will. You made a wise choice. You made a wise decision. Stay there and get beat again? I wouldn't dare suggest that. But the point is, you know, you made that almost 4 years ago. And I don't have any evidence of what you paid. And the man is denying that he ever hit you. So I don't have proof that he hit you. I don't have proof that you left as a result of that. I don't have proof of what you paid. But I have enough common sense and reasoning and rational thought to believe that if a person is with you for 8 years and they're cheating and lying and deceit, and you stay there and put up with it, that you didn't leave because of the cheating and lying and deceit all of a sudden.
No, ma'am.
I also have enough rational thought and belief and common sense to know, as Mr. McGlish has said over and over and over, that frequently when people are unfaithful in relationships, when it gets to the woman being unfaithful and the man catches her in the conduct, that his reaction is usually not as mild-mannered as the woman.
When divorce court continues, the judge reacts to the case in her private chambers. Divorce court continues in the case of Rodney McLish versus Roberta Briggs McLish as the judge issues her ruling.
If she left and incurred an expense due to your conduct, there is some responsibility on your part for it. And it's not for, quote, moving expenses, but it's what we call sanctions and damages for causing the injury to her. And I'm not convinced that it didn't occur.
Well, there's no proof that says it did, Your Honor.
Well, if I believe it, that's proof enough.
You are the judge.
There, you
But
got
now
that right.
Here again.
Now close your mouth. Now that you understand that I'm the judge and I'm about to have the last say.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. And the last say is this, that you will pay the $354. Court's adjourned.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
Not together. Please. I'm not convinced at all that that didn't occur. Not
Well,
convinced at all. And as
You don't
he,
put up with it for 8
no,
years
because,
and then all of a sudden leave.
yeah, but the smirk on his face and it's like, and after the last incident that she's talking about that occurred, and then she says, I mean that she says occurred, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not convinced at all. No.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Arthur Whitley says his wife's affairs drove him away.
She even moved the guy in.
was
The same
it?
guy you just broke up with last week.
Who was it? Oh, my goodness.
But Shannon Williams says Arthur cheated on her while she was pregnant and then left her for another woman.
I didn't know her until I had saw them together one day.
First of all, I think you have a nerve, and I've always marveled at people who can walk into a courtroom saying, I'm his girlfriend, I'm engaged.
Now Shannon wants Arthur to pay for leaving his family in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Judge Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
We're in the matter of Shannon Williams versus Arthur Eugene Whitley. I understand that you're divorcing after 6 years of marriage. And Mrs. Williams, you're asking for child support for your 4-year-old twins?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me about it. Why did this marriage end after 6 years?
First of all, Your Honor, I feel like that he should be paying me child support because I had a miscarriage. He told me if I did not have his child by the time he turned the age of 26, he was going to leave me.
Gave you an ultimatum?
Yes, ma'am.
No, Your Honor.
So, Your Honor, I did go ahead on and have his twins. He cheated on me throughout the whole relationship, Your Honor. He denied that, but I knew he was lying because I was not cheating on him.
How'd you know he was lying?
Because he gave me STD the first time I was pregnant and the second time.
Your Honor,
So
that's
you were
not the full
pregnant once
story.
and had a miscarriage?
Yes, ma'am.
And you went to the doctor and he told that you had a sexually transmitted disease?
Yes, ma'am.
And then you continued to have sex with him because he's your husband, of course?
Yes, ma'am, through better or worse.
No, it wasn't.
And you got pregnant again and contracted another sexually transmitted disease?
Yes, ma'am.
No, that's not the whole story. That's not why we got here to this point here today. Just
Well,
cause
okay, if that's not why you got here to this point, did you in fact transmit a sexual disease to your wife while
well,
she
we
was
don't
pregnant?
know who gave it to who because she could have gave it to me. Like I say, the
You
way
had it too?
but then I didn't know I had it until she found out she had it. But the reason our relationship is at this
So
point here
you're
today.
telling me you didn't have sexual relationships outside the marriage?
Yes, but after she did.
You didn't have it outside the marriage?
Say
Yes
what
or
now?
no?
Did I have a relationship outside the marriage?
Yes.
Yes, after she cheated on me with my family member,
With the
a family
neighborhood
member of
bimbo.
mine.
Well, was this before or after she was
This
pregnant?
this was before. Before she cheated on, we had got married. We was married a year, and my brother was very close to me. He got sick, and he was on his dying bed, and she know this. She know how close me and my brother was. And the day that we buried my brother, some family member of mine came down from out of town, and I invited them to come stay with me for that night while they was in town. And I had fell asleep in there on the couch. And when I woke up, I just woke up on my own, and someone just told me to go back in the back room. And it was dark back there, and I didn't see my cousin up here with me. So when I got back there, I clicked on the light, him and her laying down there going at it.
That's
And it seemed like from that point there.
Having sex
No,
in your
ma'am.
own
When
house
they was
with
on
your
top of each
cousin?
other, they was on top of each other. She had a negligee on.
No, ma'am,
And
that's not
they was
true.
on top of each other going at it.
Your
And-
cousin who you opened your door to and let him come into your house?
The same night my brother died. The same
Was she
night he
pregnant
died.
then?
Yes.
Were you
Yeah.
pregnant then?
No, ma'am, I was not your
Yes, she
honor.
was. Yes, she
No,
was.
I was not.
Yes, she was. And
How
then
long ago was this?
That was
His
like
brother
the
died
beginning
in
of the marriage.
'94. I
That was
got
in the
pregnant with
beginning
my
of the
first
marriage.
child in '95.
No, that was.
Well,
His
you
brother-
said it was at the beginning of the marriage.
His
Yeah, the
brother-
beginning of the
Excuse
marriage.
me. The beginning of the marriage
Yeah,
was,
that was at the beginning of the marriage.
94. You got married in December, right?
Yes.
And the beginning of the marriage would have been 94 December to early 95, right?
But I know when she did that kind of like destroyed our relationship.
So then you decided I can go out and do the same?
No, I didn't decide that. I stayed. I should have left her then, but I stayed and tried to work it out because we was new, we was young, you know, just starting our relationship. So I stayed and tried to work it out.
Well, wait a minute now. He's painting a different picture.
Yeah, but then
You said
He
wait a
is
minute.
lying.
He
No,
said
I'm not lying. That's
you
the
told
truth.
me I thought he was cheating.
Yeah.
No, he was
No,
cheating.
she thought.
Excuse
she
me.
thought that's what it was. And she accused me for
Mr.
that.
Whitley, I'm asking a question. Now he's giving me specific, or at least he described
Yeah,
an incident.
that's the truth.
What about that, Mrs. Williams?
Well,
She know the truth.
yeah,
She didn't
yeah,
think it was
I
gonna come
thought
out
he was
today.
cheating. Yeah, he was
No,
denying
What
it.
about you and his cousin?
But that's
playing
a
kissing
lie.
cousins?
That's a lie, Your Honor.
No,
That is
Your
a
Honor,
lie.
I
That
would
is
not
a
lie
lie,
on my
Your
dead
Honor.
brother's grave. I wouldn't sit here and
That
lie
is a
like
lie.
that.
Stop, Mr. Whitley. So you're denying that the cousin was over? What part is a
Yeah,
lie?
yeah, the cousin was over, and all of us had a lot to drink. I went in there and went to sleep.
So you
Now-
went to sleep
So
with
I
your
didn't
husband?
catch y'all up there
No,
on the bed
he was
together.
in there on the couch. I was in the bed. Now, where his
Yeah.
cousin was at, I do not know.
So you went to your bed.
Now she agreed with everything
Stop,
but
Mr.
that.
Whitley. You went to your bed, the bed that you and your husband shared.
Yes, ma'am.
And your husband was the one sleeping on the couch. So the cousin was on top of your husband.
I don't know where his
So
cousin
where was he
at.
at?
I don't
Where was
know
he
where his
sleeping at?
cousin was at.
Well, he said that was in the bedroom. Now, if
Yeah.
both of you were in the
And that
bedroom,
destroyed our relationship.
Stop. Were you in the bedroom together that night? Do you recall that?
No, ma'am. I was in the bedroom by myself.
So you're saying that you and your husband, you do agree you didn't sleep in the same bed that night?
Yeah, he did not sleep because we had a water bed. He did not sleep in the bed because he said it felt uncomfortable on his back. But he slept on
Wasn't
the
nothing wrong with
couch.
my back.
You mean that particular night only? It felt uncomfortable on his back? What, did you just get a water bed that night?
No, ma'am. We had a
bought
water
the
bed, and we've been sleeping like that for a long time. I slept in the bed.
So why then would the water bed be uncomfortable that night on his back?
But that's what he told me, Your Honor. He told me that it was uncomfortable for him to sleep in
So
the bed.
that's the only night he didn't sleep in that
No,
bed?
ma'am, he did not sleep in that bed at all. Maybe
Yes, I
once or
did.
twice since
I
we
loved
had the
that
bed.
bed.
So how long had you had it?
For about a year.
So in a year's time, you and your husband only slept together in the bed twice. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, maybe twice.
That's because
So
you
you're
messed up.
married. You bought a water bed.
No, ma'am, we was not married at the time his brother died. He lied about that.
Oh.
We was not married. We was staying together, but we was not married. His brother died in June of '94. We got married in December of '94.
So and he was staying in your house. It was your water bed.
Yes, ma'am.
That you had bought before you met him.
No, ma'am. We had
We
been
was
together.
together.
We was prior together 3 years before we got married.
Oh, well, nobody told me that. See, I don't know. All
was-
I have is that you dated 4 years. It didn't say you lived together.
Yes, we lived together.
Oh, but you guys define it as dated.
Yeah. Yes,
No,
Nice little terminology.
we
Yes,
live
ma'am.
together to me.
I don't understand all of this. Now he's saying that you cheated on him with his cousin, and that's why this marriage is
No,
ending.
ma'am.
And you're
No, ma'am.
saying that
Yeah.
he cheated on you. Now what evidence do you have?
Okay, Your Honor. He denied.
I said, what evidence do you have?
What
I already
evidence?
know he denied. What do you have?
I
No,
got
just-
more evidence.
Just the STD that he gave me twice.
So based upon the fact that you got an STD when you were pregnant the first time.
and I caught him. I caught him with her.
We was just friends.
This lady
Your
right here.
Honor. Yes, Your
We
Honor.
was just friends at
This
the time.
lady here came
I
to
used
my
to go to
house.
Hold
her.
on a sec. Wait now. You had your chance
Okay.
to explain your little self about what you saw and observed.
I didn't get a chance to finish though.
Well, you got all the chance that I gave you. That's all
All
you're
right.
going to get. Now, you tell me what you say. You claim you saw him with her.
Yes, ma'am. And with her, that was my last drop.
When?
Before her, it was like 7 months ago. But before
Before
her,
you separated?
Yes, ma'am. But before her, it was several other occasions. We would be asleep at night, his pager just going off. So I would get his page and call the number. Some of the women said that they were having sexual relations, some of them wasn't. The women was calling my house threatening me, threatening to do different stuff to me.
Threatening to do you harm?
Yes, ma'am. He was driving these women around in my
That's
car.
her sister and them used to beat me.
Yeah.
and
So now,
make
what
up
did you
stories
observe
on my
with
people.
Mr. Whitley and this young lady? What's your name?
I used to see him.
Standing up
Tammy.
talking.
I
Tammy,
used to
what did you
stand there
observe with
talking.
them?
I used to see them together all the time, Your Honor. He told me that, okay,
That's
first
because
of
I
all,
couldn't
See
talk
them
to her,
together
so I
where?
talked to her.
in her car. And they would drive my truck.
That's
Doing
our
working
truck.
hours when he was supposed to be at work, when
No,
he was
ma'am,
supposed to be at home?
He did not have a job, Your Honor. He did at first, but he stopped working. He
So
would not
where
work.
would you see them?
Yeah, man, home supporting the kids. Babysitting the kids. Who's
Mr.
babysitting the
Whitley,
kids while you at work?
Where would you see them?
Riding around in her car or riding around in my truck. I had got to the point I
And
would
what
get
were
out
you
and walk.
doing?
I would get out and walk. I would see them. One time I caught them together, told him to stop. He would not wouldn't even stop. He kept on going.
When divorce court continues, Arthur's new girlfriend takes the stand.
He told her he could not be with her, he was gonna be with me. And she was outside of my house clowning, Your Honor.
She came over there to get
Oh, hey, we getting ready to have a war in here. No, stop. Stop.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Shannon Williams versus Arthur Whitley with testimony from Arthur's new girlfriend.
Tammy was like a person I could go to and talk to about my problem.
That's what he
and
tells
when she
me.
first seen us together, she thought that we was dating. But Tammy
Be quiet,
had
Mrs.
someone
Williams.
at the time. She had someone at the time.
So she was just somebody you could
yeah,
confide in.
confide in. And then
Oh, you all gonna take the counselors and the preachers and all of the, you gonna take folks like that out of business. Why is it that everybody that's having a problem in their marriage, they always seem to find another lady, if it's the man, and the woman finds another man who doesn't have a degree in anything, but they can talk to him so good. And they can really help them in their marriage.
sometimes that's
and
all
they just,
you need, some listening.
Are you
somebody
going to
with a
talk
good
to
ear.
her to help you in your marriage?
Well, I didn't need her help. I just need somebody to talk to. I
Talk
had
to
so much
about
pressure.
what?
Because I was up under so much
Okay,
pressure.
what
and
about
stress.
the-
like I
What's
say,
the point of talking to this person?
Okay, like I say, when they came home.
No.
in the
What's
morning,
the point of talking to the person?
Just to get this pressure off of me, some stress off me.
But just to say it out loud, just to get it
Yeah,
released.
yeah.
Well,
Talk
why
to-
you just
tell
couldn't say that out
somebody.
in the air?
Because I just wanted somebody to hear it. I wanted
And
somebody
then
to know
what
the
were they
things I was
supposed to do
going
after
through.
they heard it?
Well, I just want to know something. I don't know. I just wanted somebody to know what I was going through.
But you
because
didn't
I
want
was
any
hurt.
help.
Yeah, I wanted some help.
Did you
but I
want
couldn't
somebody
afford
to
the
help you? Did you want somebody to help save your marriage?
Yeah.
Did you want somebody to help give you some direction
Yeah,
in terms of how?
I wanted the marriage to work.
I haven't asked the question yet.
That's not true.
Did you want someone to help you resolve your marital difficulties?
Yeah. She always told me good things to go home and say and do.
What'd she tell you to do?
She'll tell me, say, instead of going home arguing with her when she come in and she get to going off and bickering and stuff, she said, just go in the other room and watch TV in the other room, sit down a minute until you calm down. Instead of just all y'all always just getting into a little fury there, just go in there and sit down. And I tried that and it worked a few times. But she'll come in there and she'll come
So
wherever
now why
I'm
could
at.
you listen to this lady's advice
Because
and couldn't listen to your wife?
My wife never talked to me. She had
so
them
now
new
how did
friends.
she-
She had so many new friends from
That's
a new
not true,
job.
Your Honor.
She even moved a guy in. One
That's
of the
not-
co-workers that I was cooking for in the morning time, I cooked them breakfast, and they come over there and play cards in my
was
house.
that?
And she started dating
Who
the
was
same
that?
guy you just broke up with last week.
Who was that?
Oh,
She
my
just broke up with
goodness.
him last week.
was that?
She moved him into the house.
Who is
She
that?
moved him into the
How
house.
did she move a man into your house?
A week after I moved out, she moved him in. All the furniture in there is mine. Everything in the house is mine. I didn't take nothing. She threw my clothes. When she didn't throw all my clothes out, she threw out the clothes that she wanted me to have.
And then she moved another man
Yeah,
in?
one of the
within a
guys that was
week?
coming over there playing within a week.
Okay, now when did you
And she
and
said
Miss,
she was faithful.
so
she
when did
gonna
you
be
and Miss
faithful.
Tammy become more than friends?
So she threw me out. I asked Tammy, could Tammy take my clothes and keep them over her? 'Cause I didn't have nowhere to go. I just was in the street. I ain't had no job. I just was lost out there. So I had to find myself. I just asked Tammy to keep my clothes, stuff like that. So Tammy used to come check on me, her and her mother. You know,
Where were you staying while she was
I
checking on you?
sleep in cars wherever I could. And then her mother found out that I was sleeping in the car and stuff. So her mother started helping me out and stuff like that. I joined their church and everything. And then my life started turning around. And the last 4
And
months,
then
I
you
done found
forgot, and then what?
the last 4 months, I done found a nice job, and I'm trying to work myself back to status where I should be.
So is
and
Tammy
that-
still a friend, or is it gone beyond
well,
that?
it kind of went beyond that.
What is it gone to now?
We like relationship now. We have a
There
relationship
was a
going now.
You mean you
relationship off
boyfriend,
top.
girlfriend now?
Yeah, we
Off
boyfriend
top.
and girlfriend now. But it wasn't like that at first.
Yes, it
wasn't
was.
like we just became so good a friend till it just changed on over to
let
boyfriend
me
and
tell you,
girlfriend.
But you know what? That's why you don't go to another woman who
Well,
doesn't
she
have...
never said
Hold on
nothing
a
bad
second.
about my relationship
I
though,
didn't
the
tell
whole
you that.
time.
That's not my point. That's what usually happens. When you're having problems in a marriage and you want the marriage to work and you want to save the marriage, there are persons who have studied long and hard
Yeah, but that costs
and
money.
they're skilled and trained at that.
That costs money.
There are ministers who are out there that don't.
And I went into
Why don't
church
you be
until I met
quiet?
her family. I went into church then. They never took me to church, never showed
You
me
can take
nothing like that.
yourself.
He wouldn't go.
Yeah.
Come forward, Miss Tammy. What's your last name?
Collier.
So now, let me hear your side of how this.
Tank dog, the
friendship-
neighborhood hoe.
What'd you say?
See, that's all.
What did you say?
That's the type of person she is.
What did you say, Miss Williams?
I said they call her Tank Dog, the neighborhood hoe.
That's her name?
Yes, ma'am.
That's what she
That's
called.
the church-going girl lady that brought him into the Lord.
That's what she called me.
Okay,
That's
if
what
they
she
was just
That what
friends
she
when it all
called me.
started, why was she coming over to my house? She kicked the screen off the hedges. When I came home, they was up in there
No, that's
fighting.
a story.
He told
That's
her
a
he could not
story.
be with her. He was gonna be with me, and she was
No.
outside of my house clowning your honor.
She
No,
came
that-
over there to get
that
me.
was-
Oh, hey, we getting ready to have a war in here. No, stop. Stop. Miss Whitley, let me hear from you. Miss Collier.
I came to her house only once. That was because she was calling my house, leaving obscene messages threatening me.
When was this? After
That-
they separated? Or
That
before?
was
First
that,
time she seen her.
that was
First time
that's
she
when
ever
they was
seen
going
us
on.
together.
Mr. Whitley, let Miss Collier talk for herself. Since she's such a good talker, remember that's why you went to her.
Yeah.
Because she gives good advice and she has good things to say.
Yeah.
Let me hear this great advice.
All right.
Now tell
That
me.
was why they was together, and she thought that I was, you know what I'm saying, dating him. I'm like cool with all the guys in the
But
neighborhood
if they
because
did, why
I'm
she
like,
over my house fighting them
Miss
then?
Williams,
That
wasn't
wasn't
no
it.
fight.
no,
Wasn't no
wasn't no
fight.
fight. Wasn't no
All right,
fight.
now, I have told
Wasn't
you
no fight.
all. I want one person talking at a time. This is not a free-for-all. This is not a chance for the scorned wife to yell at the girlfriend. And it's not a chance for the girlfriend to decide to call the wife a bunch of names and to yell at her. Because now one thing I don't put up with in my court is that type of behavior. First of all, I think you have a nerve, and I've always marveled at people who can walk into a courtroom saying, I'm his girlfriend, I'm engaged, I'm his fiance, and people are still married. Haven't even gotten divorced yet. To me, that already puts a cloud on you as far as I'm concerned.
When divorce court continues, Arthur walks on thin ice with the judge.
Joe, stand over there. If he opens his mouth again, you know just what to do. Get him out my face.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Shannon Williams, who says Arthur Whitley had an affair during their marriage.
Me and him didn't get together until they separated.
But they're still married.
But
But
she
went
had
on-
another
she have a
boyfriend. She moved
boyfriend
the boyfriend
herself.
in.
She moved
the guy in a week after I
Mr. Whitley, I
left.
told you to be quiet. Come on now, Miss Collier.
She
Tell me.
moved the guy in. She went on.
Don't tell
with-
me about her. Tell me about you and Mr. Whitley.
Okay, we together now. And I mean, she called my mom.
How did you get together? How did you become
we was
friends?
just first we was cause like I said, I'm cool with all the guys in the neighborhood because
What does that mean?
I'm just that type of person. I don't hang around too many females because they keep up too much trouble.
Just
So I
guys.
hang with the guys because I was like a tomboy, whatever you saying, growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Me and him was just friends, and then after they separated, you know what I'm saying, we started doing our own thing.
We used to go fishing together.
Did you know her before they?
I didn't know her until I had saw them together one day. I had never
When she
seen.
drove
I
by
just
and
knew
threw
he
them
had
clothes out
he
the
had a
truck.
baby. Yeah, when she drew back.
That
But
was
you
she
didn't
met
know his wife before the two of you got together.
No. I just knew he. I just
She only
knew
knew what
I
I
knew
told
he had a
her.
baby.
Oh, you know what? Be quiet. Sit down. Sit down. What do you want? What kind of work are you doing? You don't want to talk one at a time and let me make any sense of this? I'm not having it. You're working now because you got yourself together. You started going to church, and thanks to Miss Collier, your life is just going up, and now you got you a good job and you're working, right?
Yeah.
And then you're making some money, right?
Yeah.
Now, are you paying any support for these twins? Yes or no?
Yes.
How?
I don't pay support through the courts, but I go get them every
I asked
Friday.
you, are you paying any support to Mrs. Williams for these children?
Yeah, whatever she say they need, I try to get it
Okay,
to
I
them.
got that answer. Oh, whatever she says they need, whenever I need to. I don't understand why fathers who are persons
Well-
who don't have
Well, I
custody.
just got a job, Your Honor.
Why is it that the parent who doesn't have custody always have to wait on the other parent to tell me what they need and when they need it? They're human beings. They're children. They need every day.
And I support them
No,
every day.
Joe, stand over there. If he opens his mouth again, you know just what to do. Get him out my face.
When divorce court continues, the judge rules on the case and goes over the verdict in chambers. Divorce court continues in the case of Arthur Whitley, who says he caught Shannon Williams with one of his relatives.
I'm going to order that you pay $400 per month for child support for your set of twins, and then that way that she can get what they need when they need it, and we don't have to worry about calling you. That's the order of the court. Court's adjourned.
All rise.
Parties may leave the court.
Ooh, sorry, Joe. Sorry. Sorry, Joe. Didn't mean to do that to
Do
you.
what I can when I can. When
No,
she
no,
tells
no,
me
no,
they
no.
need
Not
something.
what I can when I can.
Well, that was when she
calls
tells me.
me
Yeah,
and tells
that's
me
it.
what they need, then I give
Then I
them
give 'em
something.
it.
Does anybody call and tell him when he needs to eat?
Yeah. Should call him 3 times a day. Hey, you need to eat now.
Yeah. Does anybody have to
You need
call
the
and tell
lights?
him you need some lights
it's dark
and you
out, you
need
need
some
lights.
food and you need some clothes when she calls me and tells me what they need? I am so sick of hearing that one, you know.
Yeah. Sing a
And in
different
other words,
tune.
if she never calls me and never asks for anything,
Then
then
don't
I
do
won't
anything.
give her anything.
That's right.
Yeah.
'Cause they must not need anything.
That's
now.
what the bottom line is.
Yeah.
You know. And hopefully she'll never call me.
Yeah. If I don't say
And
anything,
this is
maybe she
another
will.
one where I'm thankful they just separated recently, and maybe the message is getting over.
Yeah.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Johnny Jackson had his reasons for marrying his wife.
So she was able to provide you a stable home.
Yes,
And what were you bringing to the table?
I brought
Sperm.
Sperm.
That's
Ooh. And that's what she said. I didn't say that.
But Hope Jackson found a reason to leave Johnny when he bit her 5-year-old son.
You still think that you did okay and
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you haven't done anything wrong
Yes.
to
Never
the situation.
yes, and I'll do it again.
Oh, I don't even know how to put it in nice terms.
Don't be nice.
Oh, I am nice now. Leave my courtroom.
Now Hope Jackson says Johnny's behavior is going to cost him in today's session of Divorce Court.
All rise. Court is now in session. Judge Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the matter of Hope Jackson versus Johnny Jackson Jr. And I'm advised that you've been separated for the last 3 years.
Yes.
And this is what's strange to me, and maybe you can explain it. You dated for 8 years. You stayed married for 3 years. And now you want your husband to pay for the baby furniture.
Yes, ma'am.
Now, can you explain all of that? How you date somebody for 8 years and marry him for 3?
We've known each other since we were kids, so we've dated off and on, long distance from one state to another for all those years. And when he came to the same state as me, he asked me to marry him. Then he asked me to have a baby with him.
Okay, let me start over. You dated off and on in a out-of-state, interstate relationship.
Yes,
Your Honor,
ma'am.
Your Honor.
Yes, what do you want to say?
I returned to the state. She was always in the state.
That's what she said.
Okay.
Well, your ears this morning.
They're here. I
You
got
need
them.
flushing a little bit?
I don't think so.
But that's what she said. You stayed in the state, she stayed, you returned, and asked her to marry you. And asked her to have your baby. Isn't that what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. But when during this dating for 8 years, you didn't get to know this man?
Yes, I thought I knew him. I thought I knew him all the way up until 3 days after we got married. 3 days after we got married, I found out I didn't know him at all.
So in the 8 years that you knew, well, you knew him longer than 8
Yes,
years.
ma'am.
You said you knew each other as
20-something
children.
years. Yes, ma'am.
So there was puppy love. That's what it started
Exactly.
out. Puppy
it was
love.
puppy love, then lust, then when he
Then
came back.
lust.
Yeah.
So you
because
had
we
a
were
little
teenagers.
Sexual affair going on as
Exactly.
teenagers.
We were teenagers. And then as we got older and he came back to the state, we were both in our 30s, we sat down at a table and we discussed a relationship, marriage, children, the entire thing. And he asked me to have a baby with him. And
Did
I
he ask you to
explained-
marry him first, or he asked
Yes,
you to
ma'am.
have his
He
baby?
asked me to marry him first.
Your Honor, that's not
okay.
true.
And then
What
what
I've
happened?
also.
And we were
that's
simultaneously
not
working
true.
on the baby.
That's not true.
Well, you tell me your side.
What happened? I don't recall asking my wife to marry me.
So you
it
don't
was
know
a-
what's true then if you don't recall?
It was a discussion. We mutually agreed to get married. and
How
have a
did you
child.
mutually agree if there was no asking and acceptance?
Mutual agreement.
So who said, will you marry me?
Not I. I was not ready to be married again. My wife convinced me to the fact that she was able to provide what it is I wanted in a wife.
Wow, and what did you want in a wife? So she was going to provide what you wanted?
The child was one. Stability, another.
What do you mean by stability? She had more money than you?
Yes.
And that's what you wanted in a wife?
She lived with her parents at the time.
No, I did
Or
not
she
stay in my own
she
home.
lived in her own home, which was kind of sort of assisted by her parents.
What kind of home did you have?
I didn't have one.
So how you going to throw eggs?
I'm sorry?
How you going to throw eggs in
I
her
don't-
kind of sort of assisted by her parents' home?
I don't
and
live-
you had no kind of sort of assisted home?
I didn't live with my parents.
Who did you live with?
I lived on my own.
But what'd you live in?
I lived in an apartment.
And she had a house?
Right.
And are you trying to make fun of the fact that it was assisted by her parents?
No.
Oh, okay. So she was able to provide you a stable home.
Environment, yes.
Well, you looking for a wife or looking for a mother?
I have a mother.
So, okay.
And if
but
I
I thought
chose-
children look for people to provide them with a stable environment. I thought as adults, we look to ourselves to provide ourselves with a stable environment.
I married my wife to establish that stable environment for myself as well as my children.
Oh, you already have children?
No, I don't.
No, I have
Oh,
a
so
son
you wanted
already.
her to have your children. You were looking for somebody that would be a good wife,
A
provide
good
a good
mother.
home for your children.
Yes, ma'am.
And what else?
A good life, period.
You wanted the wife to provide you a good life.
No, I was to work on the good life with my wife. That was discussed
Okay,
at
so
that.
you look for somebody who would be willing to work with you,
yes, ma'am.
working together for
Yes,
a good
ma'am.
life. And what's a good life? It's relative to everybody. What's a good life to you?
A good life to me is being in a stable environment with people you care about.
What's a stable environment?
I don't have to worry about finances, home, bills, stable.
So you were looking for someone who was working and who was financially stable just like you were?
Working, at least.
And you were doing the same?
I was attending college at the time. I
Oh!
was unemployed.
Oh, you were unemployed.
I was unemployed at the time.
But you were
But-
looking for somebody who was working hard and was financially stable.
My wife was-
While you were going to college, so they could send you through college.
My wife wasn't working at the time.
That's not
I'm
true.
sorry. She was working.
I was working.
That's what I'm saying. You said I'm looking for a woman that was stable.
I'm looking for a woman that can work with me.
And what were you bringing to the table?
I brought
Sperm.
Sperm.
That's it.
Ooh. Now that's what she said. I didn't say that.
I don't deny the fact.
Is that all he brought to the table?
That's all he brought to the table. He brought sperm. We had everything already established in the house that my parents
We had or you had?
me and
She
my
had.
son. That's the we. My
That-
son
right.
and I are the we. And we had everything. And he came
Established.
to me about a baby.
So wait a minute. You had a child already.
I had,
Yes.
So you didn't want to be the father of that child.
That's
You
not
wanted
true.
her to be.
That's not true.
All
He-
right.
Well, he didn't want him to. He didn't want to be the father. 3 days after we got married, he came
Well, I'm
into the
asking
home.
before you got married, what were you looking for? So you did. It was okay. You wanted to be the father of this child that she already had.
Yes.
And how old was that child?
He was 5.
All right. But you had the house.
Yes, ma'am.
Full of
Two
furniture.
houses. 2 houses. Full of
Two?
furniture. Yes, ma'am.
So when you were talking on the phone back and forth when he was out of state, he found out everything you had?
Yeah,
You told him?
he was in Houston. No, ma'am. He had moved back to the state that I was in, but he lived in another city.
Honor,
and we
the
we were
houses she
talking.
had-
Hold on a second.
And we were talking, and as far as us getting married and everything, we were on the phone. We discussed, and he was saying that he liked the house I was in, but he preferred the bigger house that I grew up in. And I said, well,
And who was in that house?
No one. And I said, well, we could refurbish that house and move into it. That's not even a problem.
And refurbish that house
we
was-
talked about it. And then what happened? We talked
A
about
minute
it.
now,
And
the
then,
man told you on the telephone, I like the house you in, but I prefer the bigger house.
yeah, well, we were talking because I was telling him. He asked me what had we done with the other house. I said, well, that's the house Derek and I, my son and I, we're gonna
had
move.
burned down.
We're gonna move into that house. It has
That
not
burned
burned down.
down.
I burned the kitchen.
Burned
I burned
up.
the kitchen.
Well, what house were
Okay.
you going to provide?
And he
I
lived in
wasn't
his
providing
car.
anything.
Thank
Well,
you.
how long were were you going to be in college?
I'm sorry?
How long were you going to be
He
in
had just
college?
Until I
started college, Your
graduated.
Honor, and I was working part-time and was in college, and I am a junior, and I'm still attending college,
I am
taking
not.
care of 2 kids, and I still have 2 houses,
I am
I
not.
still
Hold
have
on a
car.
second. So when you
That's
went back
paid
to
for.
her, went back and picked up your childhood love, you were in college.
Yes, ma'am.
Had just come out of a marriage 2 years before.
Yes, ma'am.
And from that marriage, what'd you bring?
From that marriage, I didn't bring anything.
Oh.
I had no baggage.
Well, did you bring anything that was an asset?
I brought
No.
the sperm.
That's it.
When divorce court continues, Hope tells the judge about the day Johnny attacked her 5-year-old son.
Then the next month, he bit him.
What you doing biting on a child?
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Hope Jackson, who left Johnny Jackson because he bit her 5-year-old son.
And now you have a child by him after
Yes,
this
ma'am.
marriage.
I've had the child. He
How
left,
soon
like I
did
said.
you have a child after marriage?
We found out we got married on a Friday, and he picked the date. He wanted to get married in October because our birthdays are in October, and I said, well, I've always wanted to be a June bride. He flipped through the calendar. He said, 5 is your favorite number. Let's do June 5th. That's how we ended
That's
up
not
marrying
correct, Your
on
Honor.
June 5th.
That is not
and as
correct.
far as the baby is concerned, June 5th was a Friday, and we found out that Monday that I was indeed
3
pregnant.
months pregnant.
3 months pregnant. And so we got married that Friday.
3 months pregnant after you married.
Prior to the wedding.
marriage. Prior to the wedding. We found out on June 1st.
Well, you were having sex prior to the
Thank
marriage,
you.
weren't
Yes,
you?
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
And so
Very good.
we what you call it, we on June 5th, we got married. And a few days
Your Honor,
later,
June
he was
5th
very
was the reason-
distant.
Hold on a second.
He was very distant, and he
A
was
few
being,
days later?
Yes, ma'am.
Within a few days of
yes,
marrying you, he was distant?
It was June 8th. He was, my son went to the refrigerator to get a drink of water. He slammed the door, and I heard him from another room inform my son he needs to ask for water. So I didn't say anything in front of my son because he's a child. So I said, can I ask you something? He said, what? I said, why does he have to ask for water? He said, he don't just go in the kitchen and get water. This, that. I said, well, okay, well, look at his perspective. He was here when I bought the refrigerator. He was here when I put the deposit down for the water bill. He was here when I went to Target and bought the water pitcher. You weren't here when I did all that, so he don't understand where you factor into that equation where he needs to ask you for water when you actually move into our house, not his, not your house.
And
We
not
didn't move-
only that, why do you have to ask for water in your own house?
And then later, then the
explain
next
that to me?
month, he bit him.
What you say?
Then the next month, he bit him.
What you doing biting on a child? Oh, you need to hurry up and explain that to
I
me.
bit
And you
him-
need,
I-
wait a minute.
I bit him
Hold
for a
on a
reason.
second. Hold on a
I
second.
bit him for a reason.
Stop. You need to hurry up and explain it to me.
I bit him for a reason.
And you need to stop laughing about it.
I bit him for a reason.
Because I
The
may
reason-
bite you back.
And that was my point. Because if you put your hands in someone's mouth, they will bite you. And
So you explain to me the details.
he was sitting in my lap,
Thank you.
joking around, doing whatever it was he was doing that 5-year-olds do. He put his hand in my mouth. I advised him not to do so.
And you couldn't come up with a better solution for a child who put his hand at your mouth.
After,
You couldn't just snatch his hand down. The only thing you could think of was to bite it.
And he
after,
bit him, Judge.
Stop.
after 3 terms and me telling a 5-year-old that understands English, what the no means, yes, I bit him.
Oh, you got a warped sense.
I do.
Thank you.
I do. My
You
sense
are
is
really warped in terms of your values and your training and understanding of life. A 5-year-old who puts his hand in your mouth or puts his finger up to your mouth, usually they're just exploring. All you have to
Exactly.
do is pull the hand down. All you have to do is move the child and say, don't do that. Go play with your
Your
toys.
Honor, I said no 3 times. He understands no when his mother tells him no.
So is this a power play? Did you
I'm
think that he
not-
wasn't
no,
giving
no.
you enough respect and you had to
No.
make him respect you
No.
as your daddy boy?
No.
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
Is that what that was all
I'm
about,
not his
ma'am?
daddy. I'm not his daddy.
Yes,
But I
ma'am.
know, but now you are in the role of his father.
No, ma'am. I have no reason to prove
He was calling him.
that.
Excuse me.
I have no reason to prove
You weren't
that
in-
I have no reason to prove that I am his daddy because I am not his daddy.
Mr. Jackson,
Yes,
at
ma'am.
that point in his life, when you married his mother and you came into that house as the man of the house, you
I
weren't
became
stepping
the
in the
man
role
of the house, ma'am.
Excuse me. You don't believe that you stepped into the role as that child's father as well?
I did.
I didn't say biological father. Fathers can be fathers without providing the sperm.
Exactly.
Now, you don't believe that you stepped into that child's life as a father?
I stepped into that child's life as a guardian. My wife,
Now, there's the problem right there. Now, before you married this man, he didn't spend any time with your son?
Yes, ma'am. He spent a lot of time with my son. As a matter of fact, he
babysitted.
showed up.
I took him everywhere he needed to go, when he needed
Hold
to
on a second.
go.
I'm hearing from her
He
now.
showed up December 26th, the day after Christmas. He was in the room with my son, putting the toys together and everything. And I was thinking, oh my goodness, they get along really well. They spent a lot of time together before.
And we still get along very well if I don't have to deal with my wife babying her son. He's a 5-year-old.
What do you mean babying her son?
Baby him. I can teach him
Somebody's
things.
babying you. You still being taken care of and provided by somebody else.
Hello,
What are you
ma'am.
talking about?
Thank you.
Excuse me. You are expecting more responsibility and maturity out of a 5-year-old
Thank
than
you.
you expect out of yourself at 33. She's babying and taking care of you.
No, she's not.
I did.
She never has, and she never will.
She provided the
She
house.
didn't provide anything for me.
Where did you live when you married your wife?
Where did I live?
That was my question. And
In
you
her home.
So who provided it?
She didn't provide her home.
Oh, you sound like an idiot.
When divorce court continues, Johnny runs into trouble with the judge.
And it's not funny. And you know what? Get this disgusting human being out of my face now. Leave my courtroom. Now.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues as Johnny tries to justify biting Hope's 5-year-old son.
Did you call the child abuse authority?
I took him to the police station, and I let them take pictures. And the police was saying the same thing, because my mother-in-law was saying, I think you're getting the police involved. I think that's too much. And she goes, because my son wouldn't have put his hand in anybody's mouth at that age. And I said to her, I said,
Okay.
So
well,
you
if
see.
you know that, I said, well, if you know that, then you knew that at 31, your son would bite a 5-year-old. You never say what your child will and will not do.
Excuse me, and you still think that you did okay? And
Yes,
that
ma'am.
you haven't done anything wrong?
He's never apologized.
I'm asking Mr. Jackson, you still think that that was appropriate response
Yes.
to the situation?
Yes, and I'll do it again.
And you know what? If you do it again, you will be arrested. Because you
that's
have a
not a
problem.
problem.
You have a serious problem.
That's not a problem.
And that is child abuse.
Yeah, that's what she said.
It is.
I didn't damage
That
him.
is child abuse to bite a
To
child.
scream and holler at a child and to subject a child to domestic violence is child abuse as well. I don't do that either.
You know what, Mr. Jackson?
No, ma'am, I don't.
You are really a disgusting human being. And the problem about it is, the issue is you stand up being pompous and thinking
That's my problem.
Yeah, and thinking that you are such a, I don't even know how to put it. In nice terms.
Don't be nice.
Oh, I am nice. Yeah, you got a serious issue. Serious issue.
I agree on
Now
your-
you have a child, a
We
daughter.
we have a little
Now, before, he doesn't see this child, does he?
Yes, I do.
He's
Okay, here's
seen it a
what,
few
no,
times.
this court is going to order you, since the issue is not before this court, I'm going to order you, Ms. Jackson, to go to the court of your state, file an action for custody, requesting that he not have any visitation rights with your daughter, which is now his child, until he gets into some serious counseling in terms of what it takes and what it means to be a parent and how parents respond to children's behavior. Because if you bit the little boy, the next time you'll slap him, you'll hit him, you'll kick him, you may even cut him because you have a bad attitude. You can shake your head and whatever. I want an order that he not see this child. Okay. Now, I am telling you, even though that issue is not before me, I am giving you permission. Any other judge, you talk to him and tell him I said so. Don't let him see that child. Don't let him be in the presence of your daughter without a third party, not his mother. And it's not funny. And you know what? Get this disgusting human being out of my face now. Leave my courtroom. Now.
When divorce court continues, the judge reacts to the case after the verdict. Divorce court continues in the case of Hope versus Johnny Jackson, who bit Hope's 5-year-old son to teach him a lesson.
Now, what are you asking me for?
I'm asking for the money for, I had to buy a nursery and everything for my daughter before she was born, and he's never helped pay for anything. You know, she needed a baby bed.
I understand what a child needs when you're about to be born. What did it cost you?
It was $1,300, and I asked for half of it since he asked for half on the child.
Court's order, and I'm very serious.
I will.
Do not allow him to see that child without a third party being present other than his mother. And I would suggest that you use a professional monitor.
Yes, ma'am.
Who understands and knows what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior for adults with respect to children, and will report it to the court.
Okay.
And then you get into court immediately. Since that issue is not before me, he didn't agree to have me decide custody and get you a custody order. And I am assured that any court who listening to that kind of testimony would not allow him to visit with your child. The man has a serious problem. Court's adjourned.
All rise. Parties may leave the courtroom.
I've never seen such arrogance in all my days, and got the nerve to stand up there and talk about I want a stable environment and I want a woman who can provide me with a stable environment and stability. What he wants is a mother.
Oh, yeah.
He's still
He sure
a
doesn't
child
wanna be a
himself,
father,
just a
that's
little
for sure.
brat. And he's not the child's father. No, I was just his guardian. That is just absolutely despicable. It's terrible.
Yeah.
And to think, it's self-righteous. And to think that he's,
proud
you know,
of it, yeah.
I'm okay. And yes, I did the, and I'm looking for somebody to provide him all of this while he stays in school and do nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm attempting to find it.
And I'd
What
do it
is
again.
that?
That was, I don't know.
In today's session of Divorce Court, Misty Brown says 6 months after marrying Percy, she found out he fathered 7 children with other women.
When you met him, he had
Yes,
one.
you know how I found out he had all these other kids through his niece.
Jill Johnny, she called the psychic hotline about my children.
You know what? You all are getting ridiculous now.
But he says Misty is no angel herself.
She slept with a Beelzebub's. Esther has to get her tattoos. This man
In
performed
your
oral
honor,
sex on her for her
On the
child.
kitchen counter in your house? Hold on.
Yes,
In today's session of Divorce Court,
All rise. Court is now in session. Judge Maybelline Ephraim presiding. You may be seated.
Misty Brown versus Percy Brown. I'm advised after 4 years of marriage, you're asking for a divorce, Mrs. Brown, and you're also asking the court to award you child support for 2 children you have together. Is that right? What's going on?
Your Honor, I'm here today to ask for my divorce. For as you know, I overheard my husband, Percy,
I can hardly hear you. You want to speak up?
on the phone having a conversation with a woman calling me a hoe.
It was your house he was talking to another woman?
Nah, he was at work on his cell phone. I was calling him on his cell phone to tell him to stop by our old house to pick up a mop to bring it to our new house. And he didn't know I was on the phone. And I overheard him conversation, taking her home and everything, and calling me a hoe, asking her, did she leave a beeper in our car?
Well, so she was in his car at the time?
Yes.
Oh.
And he did not even know, and I confronted him when he got home. He just looked at me and went in the back room, and like I had not said anything.
So you all in the process of buying a new house?
Yes, ma'am.
So it seems like to me you're trying to start over, do better, move up?
Yes, because reason why we moved out our old house because his ex came by trying to tell me about him and her, and he moved.
The same ex or a different one?
Different one.
So you ran from one house because of an affair with an ex-girlfriend. She came by your house?
Yeah, she sells a security alarm. She had someone to come to my door, and I did not even know where she works. He gets mad at me, asking me, did anybody stop by the house today? And I told him, yes, somebody stopped by trying to sell alarms. So then he tell me that it was
She
her.
wanted to sell an alarm
Yeah.
system so she can give you the code and come in on you at the same
I
time?
don't know what she wanted to do, Your Honor, but he got mad at me this particular day like I did not even know where she worked. And he got mad at me, talking about did somebody come by the house? And I was like, yeah, tell him a gentleman came by trying to say, well, this was her and this, going all off on me for no reason. And I ain't even I know where she works.
Why is he going to go off on you and tell you that that was the
I don't
woman?
know. You need to ask him that because he did.
Okay, thank you. I'll ask him. What was that all about?
First of all, let's start back with the conversation that she was speaking about over the phone. I asked some co-workers. I was a production control supervisor on that job. I was taking 3 co-workers to lunch and to cash their checks. I asked each one of them who pager was this. I had no idea who pager it was. And she said that hoe probably had another so-and-so in the car. We were just talking, Your Honor.
Someone was talking about your wife and referring to her as a hoe?
And then I straightened that up. I straightened that up, Judge.
Your Honor, it was
Wait a
the
minute,
lady.
this is your coworker.
Right.
And you're doing them a favor.
Right.
And someone in that vehicle referred to your wife as a hoe?
Because of her,
No, just answer me. You saying yes?
Yes, they did.
What did you do?
I got on them and I straightened that up and I told her to take it back.
Your Honor, he
And
called me a hoe.
Mrs. Brown, you weren't there.
She did that because my wife had been calling up on the job, harassing this lady, came up there with a baseball bat. The security guard had to take her off the premises, Judge, Your Honor.
Your Honor,
they barred her from coming to the employee's entrance.
Hold on a second.
I'm going to wait.
They would not let her come on their job because of her attitude and ways. And as far as somebody coming to the house about alarm system, she got mad because I asked her, why did she let this man in the house, a stranger,
I thought it
half-naked?
was a woman that came.
No, ma'am. It was a man.
She was sitting
She
in the
did
car.
not even know this man.
The man was half naked, or
She was half naked.
How do you know?
Because she
told him that.
me
He is
everything
lying, Your
that
Honor.
she
This
had
man-
on. She described everything in my house, and she turned around and gave me my wife's cell phone number
Well, who
and
was this
pager
woman
number.
that was in
This
the
is
car?
my ex-girlfriend. She
Thank
told
you.
Misty to her face that she is not going to let us rest in peace. She is not going to let us have any peace in that marriage.
Oh,
And
really?
Misty would sit on the phone for hours and listen to this woman. And I used to tell Misty, this woman don't have nothing good to tell you. This is a has-been. If I wanted this woman, I had 5 years of being with her that I could have been
But it's
with her.
somebody that's not going to let you go, and she said that.
She told Misty this.
That she's not going to let you all be
said
happy.
we're not going to be happy together.
Wow.
And Misty still sit on the phone and listen to this woman. She listened to this woman about trying to see my underclothes. She just listened to this woman about everything. And she sit there and believe everybody, Judge, but me. I have taken care of this woman for 6 years and the 2 children. I filmed these children coming into this world. She left me to go stay with some gay friend girls, 3 of them. She did not let me come and see these children. On her birthday, Georgia, last month, she would not let me come to see my daughter.
I rarely get a man
She
to
would
talk
not
this much.
let me see my daughter on her birthday. So when I decided to drive over there to see her, you know what they was doing? They was having a wild party there on my daughter's birthday, walking around with no shoes on her feet. And when I came in the house, the 2 men ran in the back room and hid. I asked to use the bathroom. She come between me and shoved me out the way and would not let me see my daughter on her birthday.
Now, you said all of that without taking a breath, so
And
I
on
know that's not a good story.
I'm not finished.
all he
On
do is
Thanksgiving,
lie. He
This
is
past
lying, Your
Thanksgiving, just passed.
He
I
is
called
lying.
her. When she got off work, she said, I'm finna run in here and pump some gas and I'll call you back. She took my children to Arkansas
So
to
that
stop
my mama
me.
was sick, Your Honor. We
She
was
would
over
not
there
let me
spending
see my
time with
children
my
on
mother.
Thanksgiving, Judge Honor.
Sure was. We was in Arkansas.
So now, wait a minute. You're saying that you're leaving her because you don't know why you're leaving her. She's lying
I
on
know
you.
why I'm
left
leaving her.
him, Your
Because,
Honor, because
I
he
was
is
separated from
lying.
her 2 months. She slept with a Bears bondsman. She slept with a tattoo man. Ask her how she got her tattoos. She was on the
paid for
kitchen
them.
counter. And this
He
man
paid
performed
for
oral
them.
Kitchen
sex
counter doing
on her.
tattoos?
This man
He is-
performed
Your
oral
Honor,
sex on her
oh
for
my
her
God.
On the
tattoos
kitchen counter in
at
your
his
house?
And she tried to bribe my niece with my credit card.
Hold on.
She
Yes,
tried to bribe my
please
niece
do.
with my credit card to stop from
Your
telling
Honor,
me.
can I say something?
Wait, no.
Because he is a big liar.
Just hold
No,
on.
sir. No, ma'am. I'm not a liar.
Yes, he
I am
is.
a
That's how he
professional
do.
man. I went
Ask
back
him
to
On
school
the
to get my
kitchen
A+
table
certification.
at whose house?
At this man, I can't
Okay.
think, at this tattoo man house. On the
And that's how
kitchen
she got the
counter.
tattoos?
Yes, Your Honor.
When divorce court continues, Misty tells the judge how she had to defend herself from one of her husband's ex-girlfriends.
When she came to my car, yes, I sure did.
Where was your back?
in my trunk. I politely popped my trunk and was finna get my bed.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Misty versus Percy Brown, who says his wife gave sexual favors to another man in exchange for tattoos.
What are your tattoos? I have one on my leg, I have Betty Boo on my back, and I have his name and some paw prints on my leg.
And who put them on? The tattoo man?
Yes, he is like, cause me and his niece
sexual favors?
went. No, I pay him $60 for this, $60 for this, and $20 for this. Me and his niece went. He is a big liar. And at first he's talking about
He's saying that you're the one that's running around being a bad woman.
Let him tell it's always me.
That's about the car that they took a picture of in my backyard.
The car they took a picture of was nothing. They could have took a picture of anybody's rims on a car, Your Honor. That's all they
had. On the couch, on my couch.
Stop.
They saw the man
Mr.
sleep.
Brown.
Thank you.
Who is they took a picture?
His family.
Let me finish my question.
My nephew.
I haven't finished my question. They took a picture of a car in the yard. That doesn't make sense to me. You want to give me a complete sentence?
Yes, ma'am, I will. Okay, I called home, and my wife rushed me off the phone, and I called my mother and told my mother something is not right in my house. I said, will you please, because my mother didn't want to get involved. I said,
always getting mothers in it.
I said, please, mother, go by there and make sure ain't nobody at my house. They went by there. There was a green car with some fancy rims parked in my backyard. My niece was there. My niece called my mother and told me, he over here now, Mom. He in there asleep on the couch. Y'all will come over here and bust him right now with the police and throw him out of Uncle Percy's house.
You're telling me that your wife had a man in the house with your niece there, and she was having an affair with the man?
Yes.
You're not that stupid, are you?
No, ma'am. Your Honor, it always be me, but I'm at home with my children working. He's the one out.
You at home with your children working?
Yeah, I work.
You work from home?
No, I was trying, but I couldn't because of him off my computer because he took my computer, okay? Your Honor, let him tell it. It's always me.
What is this about a man in a car with fancy rims in the yard?
They took a picture of anybody's car.
I didn't ask you if they could have taken it. I'm asking you.
No, it was not nobody's car in my backyard with some rims on
But was a man in your house in your bed?
Your Honor, no. His niece was there with me, okay?
Well, he said that's the niece that told him.
Everything he says anything. He ain't never came to me.
So that long tirade that he just went through for about 5 minutes nonstop, he's lying about everything?
I can't never talk. That's why I married so messed up.
So now you're talking about you left because of an ex-girlfriend that you heard the conversation on the telephone where the woman was calling you a hoe.
On his cell phone.
And that was the end of it.
Yes.
And then you left.
No, it wasn't the end of that. I didn't just leave just that minute.
What happened?
I can't, Your Honor, first he talking about on his job with when I got my bat, I got my bat out.
You and your little self went up to the job with a baseball bat?
Let me tell
Caused
you.
me to get a demotion on my job.
No. Your Honor, I went to his job to pick him up. This woman, I had his son in the car. This woman walked out of their door where they go in to work, come to my car asking me what I'm doing, asking about her. I need to take this up with my husband. When I got out of my car to get the bat, the security guard grabbed her instead of grabbing me. Like I told him, everybody at your job know you is messing with this woman.
And you went up there to confront the woman?
No, I go up there to pick him up from work. She comes to my car. I'm sitting in my car waiting on him to come out so we can go home. Because I had my kids in the car and his son. His son told the woman to get...
His son is by someone else?
Yes, he have custody of him. He told the woman to get away from my car. He gets in the car like ain't nothing happened.
So the lady came at you, you got out the car to go get your bat?
Yeah, when she came to my car, yes, I sure did.
Where was your bat?
In my trunk. I politely popped my trunk and was finna get my bat. And when the security guard stopped me...
So you keep a bat ready for your child in Little League Baseball?
I done went through so much stuff with this man through his ex. I have to have something because like he said, his ex, she told me that, yes, she told me that because he comes and runs back and mess with this woman. The whole 6 years I've been with him,
so you got
an
ex-girlfriend that's not going to let go. And then you get a new girlfriend that you say came to your car wanted to fight you.
Yes, telling me.
So you have some restraining orders?
Yes, I have restraining order on him, not on them.
Why don't you have restraining orders on them?
I I don't know.
I asked her to do that.
No, he did.
Well, I'm going to suggest that the one that has declared war on you and that you'll never be together, well, maybe now that you're divorcing, it's no problem because she's getting what she wanted, I suppose.
And he's still messing with her right now that we're separated.
do not.
Still right
well,
now.
you don't care, do you?
No, ma'am. That's why I'm here today.
Because it's over now, right?
Yes, ma'am.
When divorce court continues, Misty and Percy anger the judge.
All right, I don't want any discussion about it. I simply was offering some free advice.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that, perhaps.
If you would like to have the judge hear your case in divorce court, call us toll-free at 1-877-311-2222 or log on to our website at www.divorcecourt.com. Divorce court continues in the case of Percy versus Misty Brown, as Misty makes the mistake of trying to put a dollar value on her children.
So why do you have to ask him to pay support? You just told me you're a businessman and you take care of your business.
He offered me $200 for my kids. My kids are worth more than $200.
No, we don't talk about worth. Wait a minute. You're using the wrong phrase.
Well, I'm sorry.
These
Can I
children
rephrase
are
that?
not something that you're selling.
Yes.
And you're not putting a monetary value on it. Don't talk about worth.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can I rephrase that then?
Yeah, please rephrase
okay,
it.
I asked him. He suggested that he was going to give me $200. I didn't argue or anything with that because he have not even gave me that.
How long have you been separated?
About eight months.
And he hasn't given you any money for support?
He gave me $100 one month and $120 the next.
You paid support?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
On a regular basis?
Yes, Your Honor. I get paid bi-weekly. I give her anywhere from $125 to $150 every week.
Every week?
Every 2 weeks when I get paid.
Every week or every 2 weeks?
Bi-weekly.
Your Honor,
So you've been doing that consistently?
Yes, Your Honor. As of last week,
So did you have an agreement for $200 per month?
Yes, we have it in writing.
So why are you paying more?
Because she tells me this, they need this, and they need that. And I was just giving the children stuff. And also for 6 years, I've been trying to get these children legitimated to my last name.
Your Honor,
they do not have my last
Why
name.
don't the children have his last name?
We married. The children do it. Only thing I have not done was change our Social Security number. That is all.
I have birth certificates.
Your Honor.
And they're not in my
that
last
issue is
name.
not before me, but Mr.
Thank you.
But wait a minute, Ms. Brown, before you thank him so. You may want to take it back.
Because I do want
Stop,
this.
Mr. Brown. That issue is not before me in terms of your name. However, there is a procedure available for you to do that. You have to go into another court to do that.
Right.
And to ask that the name be changed on the birth certificate if the name is not yours. If there is some other name, your wife's surname on there, as opposed to your surname, then there is a procedure available. But I'm telling you now, most of the courts these days are not so concerned about those names. That's kind of archaic. And they're not really requiring them to have the father's last name. So if you sign the birth certificate or fill out the forms at the hospital, because remember you were there filming.
Right.
So when you were there filming, they gave you some forms to fill out.
He did not want to sign it. He didn't. He's a lie because the woman came in.
All right, I don't want any discussion about it. I simply was offering some free advice.
Right.
I shouldn't have done that, perhaps. But leave the subject alone. We're talking about child support.
Okay.
You have one child living with you. You have 2 children. 2 other children by Mrs. Brown, right?
Yes, I do. And I have some other children.
How many other children do you have?
I have a total of 8 children.
Excuse me?
Yes, ma'am.
you do.
And this young lady.
Wait. Of the 8, how many are you taking care of? How many do you have a child support order for?
I have a child support order on 3 of them.
No. Who?
Mr. Brown, you are
Ask him who.
a father of 8 children at $11, $12 an hour.
Mm-hmm.
The other mothers don't even
So
have
have you
nothing to
figured
do
out
with
that
him.
you need to stop having
Judge
children?
Honor, I was trying.
Have you figured out that you need to stop having
I
children?
have been figured that out.
You figured it out maybe 3 years ago.
Your
I
Honor,
figured
can
it
I
out
say
before
something?
then.
But if you keep messing around with these different people, you're going to have some more.
Your Honor, when I met this man,
No,
he told
no,
me
I
he
want
had
any more.
one
I'm not
child.
messing around with anyone.
One child.
When you met him, he had
yes,
one.
you know how I found out he had all these other kids through
Wait.
his
When you
niece.
met him, he had one?
He told me that he had one
Oh,
child.
that's what he told you.
Yes, after I got with him 6 months later, I found out about all these other kids he had because he got to go to child support court.
Georgiana, she called the psychic hotline. Trying to see what them really my children. That's why I want to get blood tests
you need to
on
put
those
him on a
children.
lie
To make
detector
sure that-
test.
Come, you know what? You all are getting ridiculous now.
He sure is.
She called the
She
psychic
called
hotline
the
to see if they're
psychic
your children.
hotline. And the lady said you're going to be in for a big downfall because those children are not his.
Psychic hotline.
Yes, she did. I got the telephone bill to prove
They
it.
weren't there with you. You
I
know
got
whether
the
they're your
telephone
children or not.
bill.
What
That's
the
why I
telephone
won't-
bill? Let
I-
them
Oh, come on, Mr. Brown. You really sounded really foolish. At one time you did.
foolish.
You were making sense. You stood here and started this long conversation with how wonderful you were at the hospital and you filmed the birth of the children.
That's the hurting part about it, George.
Oh, please.
When divorce court continues, the judge reacts to the case in her private chambers. Divorce court continues in the case of Percy versus Misty Brown, who says her husband did not tell her he fathered 7 other children.
You know what? I'm going to use your figures. I'm
take
going to
care
let
of
you
my
keep
kids.
paying that $125 bi-weekly. That's what you said you were paying. So the court's not doing anything but just rubber stamping what you were doing. So I'm going to rubber stamp what you've been doing in your good deed. $125 bi-weekly for child support for these 2 children. That's the order of the court.
All rise.
If he's been doing it, he can continue to do it.
Just, yep. Keep his routine going.
Just keep the routine going.
That shouldn't impact him negatively.
Yes.
He's used to it.
But you know what? When he offered her $200 per month and he has 8 children, that's not a bad offer based upon his income.
That's true. Well, he said he's got 3 support orders.
He has 3 support orders.
Plus he has
now
custody of
2.
1.
Yes.
And then these 2. So
3,
there's 2 out there that
4,
aren't being
6.
taken
There's
care
2
of.
more that there needs to be an order for.
Yeah.
So I leave him with some money to take care of those 2.
Yeah. Boy.
He needs a second job. Or he needs to go back to school to further his education so he can perhaps get a better job.
Boy, that's tough.
How old is he?
I didn't catch an age.
36.
36.
Ooh, he can produce a lot more.